Hello, it's your favorite sports Unc here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to join the fastest growing community on YouTube. Remember, Nightcap doesn't happen without you. So please subscribe or you're going to make Ocho cry. Miami Hurricanes beat the Florida Gators 26-7. Is it time? Question is, Johnny, look, Ocho, you talk about this all the time. Florida used to be a place. I mean, you get the Tim Tebow's and you get the Percy Harvins and you get the Joe Hayden and you get the Pouncey brothers and you get all those first round draft picks. They still get a couple, but they don't have the level of talent. But that doesn't mean they don't have the level of expectations. That doesn't change. Once you become a success, the fans expect you to have that level of success for perpetuity because that's all they remember. And right now, it's really tough on Billy Napier. Does he survive the entire season, or is it time for them to move in a different direction? Johnny, you take it. Johnny, you take it first.
Man, yeah, this is a tough look for the Florida Gators program for them. I think everybody in Gainesville is used to that program being at the top elite level. You're used to what you've seen in the past, what they have going right now, what the preseason expectations were for this team. They don't get tossed around by in-state schools like this ever, this consistently in the past. So for them to be struggling, a change needs to happen at Florida. I think everybody from one end of the spectrum to the other at the University of Florida is uttering for that. I know my boys behind the scenes are just kind of shaking their head in disbelief. I mean, DJ Lagway was supposed to be their guy. This is a guy that you're looking at the top of the SEC quarterback rankings at the beginning of the season. He's up there. Tonight, 12 of 23 for 61 yards. That's supposed to be an opening drive.
Yes, you're exactly right.
That's supposed to be what you script all
your
week
first 15.
In the walkthrough and in practice. First 15 is supposed to be 61 yards. To play 4 quarters of football and get 61 yards of passing offense, you ain't going to be doing a lot with that. That's complete and total and utter dysfunction from top to bottom on the offensive side of the football.
When we put this in perspective, Ocho, Bethune-Cookman's quarterback, Timmy McClain, had more passing yards, 86 against Miami in a loss on fewer pass attempts.
Yeah. Hey, listen, Redale Anthony ain't walking through that door. Ike Hilliard ain't walking through that door. Neither is Fred Taylor, and Tim Tebow's already graduated.
Emmitt Smith, Richard Caldwell, anybody else you look?
Listen, all the way down. I think
Javon Kurtz.
Yeah, I think things need to change. Even if you do change the head coach, it's still gonna be the same thing. If you don't have the players, if you don't have the money, you gotta pay. You gotta pay to win now.
Yeah,
that's the landscape of NFL college football right now, is to be able to bring recruits in, those that can contribute and play right now. And until you do that, until you have boosters and you have support behind the scenes to be able to pay some of the players to attract them to come to your school, it will never be like the Florida of old, back in the 90s, back in the 80s, back in the early 2000s, where you could compete with the Miamis, with the other teams in the
Bahamas, the Ohio States.
That's long gone. That's long gone. You got to play to win.
Now it's taking even more, Johnny, because you got to go into the portal. You got to entice some of these kids that's in the portal that's thinking about it, saying, you know what, I got a little extra. Hey, okay, I'm making $1 million here. I'm making 500,000 here. I wonder if I can go to another school. Teams are looking more so now at portal than they are high school seniors, because they want someone that already knows what it's like to be in college. They already have study habits. They've already gone through the process of being on a college campus or playing college football. So that's kind of the direction, if you look at it, everybody, teams are starting to try to move in. Hopefully they can entice someone to leave an Alabama and come to their school, leave an Ohio State and come to their school, leave a Michigan or Texas A&M or whatever a program is, offer them more money and get them to go there.
Okay, there we go. I'm going to say entice them how? Because listen.
It's money.
Oh, okay. That's
and $5 and $10 million in NIL or whatever they want to call it is not enough, Johnny. You got to have a pool 15, 20, 25, $30 million because one player on your roster is going to command probably a $4 million salary.
Yeah, he got to be that boy commanding $4 million. You got to be a difference maker. You got to be a difference maker to be able to command that kind of money. You look at the landscape of college football right now, and the players that command $4 million or better, he that boy. Jeremiah Smith, That's that boy. Man, listen, if it was last year, Jeremiah Smith was top 5 as the goddamn freshman. He was coming out in the draft.
Yep.
He can command that kind of money. So players that command that kind of money, you got to be special and be able to change a program, the trajectory of a program right away, right now. It ain't that many of them. I'm just gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest with you. It ain't that many of them, right? Not right now. Not like that.
I think you got to recruit, John. Let me tell me what you think. Look, Billy Napier, I think he's a really good coach because he was on that staff with Nick Saban, and they had Dan Lanning, and they had Kirby Smart, and they had Perry Fuel, and they had Mario Cristobal. They had the coach at Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin. If you go back and look at that staff and what they had, if I'm not mistaken, Dan Lanning was a grad assistant. Kirby Smart was the head coach, and they had all these guys that are coaches now in the end of major college program. Billy Napier, if I'm not mistaken, was the receiver coach. But you've got to be able to recruit. And can they entice Urban to come back? Urban left because he had heart palpitations, and then he went to Ohio State, and they got better. They got good medical staff at Ohio State and a little bit more money, and they had better talent.
I'd back up the Brinks truck if I was Florida to get Urban Meyer back. I'd do anything in the world to get that man back there and get something. The good news for Florida with the way the college football landscape is right now, though, is if a couple of these guys get together and say, enough is enough, we're tired of this, you can go get $30-40 million in a pot in a Gainesville alumni. You can go to a collective and get enough money and be like, listen, we're going to hit the transfer portal really hard this offseason. And in 12 months, your roster and everything can look completely different as you go into fall camp a year from now. So that's the one thing that Florida has. They have the pedigree. They have the history. They are in a great conference. They're just not good right now. You look at their schedule this year and what they've done. 10 points the first week. They score 16 points the next. That's 26 points. Then they put up 55 against Long Island, which honestly not enough. And then 7 tonight. So against three good real schools, that's 28-7. What is that?
35.
35 points.
Yep.
They've scored 35 points in 12 quarters of football. What are we talking about here? That ain't enough to beat nobody. There's high schools out there that could probably come up and whoop up on them right now.
But here's the thing you're talking about, Johnny. You say there's enough money to get in the to put together to create a pot at a portal. You're gonna probably have to buy Billy Napier out of that contract. That's gonna cost you $20-30 million right there.
Take the A&M path, man. Stroke that check and get it going.
No. Florida ain't got that money like Texas A&M. Texas A&M got deep pockets. I mean, their hands go all the way to their pockets so deep they go all the way to the ground.
My advice to them, go play that lottery with the Alabama lady we talked about a couple weeks ago.
Hey, Unc, and Johnny, I think it all comes down to, especially if you get a coach like Urban Meyer, if you get him to come back for whatever reason, if it does happen, I think it's possible to get the money. And with Urban Meyer coming back, I think players will probably gravitate and want to come to Florida
for sure.
If the price is right, if the money's right, and they allow him to do things his way, and which he did when he was there and he was winning at that time, he could turn that program around pretty fast, especially in the offseason with the transfer portal. He can do that.
It's harder now to Ocho. They don't let the student athletes get away. They got this thing called the internet. They got this thing called the camera phone. They got this thing that so the things that he got away with at Florida and some of the stuff that he got away with at Ohio State, I'm not so sure now you're gonna be able to get away with said things. And so they keep a closer eye on it. Now, do I believe if you were to come back, the as Johnny mentioned, the Alumni Association wouldn't be willing to get together to pay this man $11-12 million, what it would take to get a coach of that caliber back in the folds? Absolutely, I believe they would. And they say, you know what? If that means we got to spend $25-30 million about Billy Napier out and another $70 million over 6 years to get Urban back in, and plus another X amount of dollars to put in to try to get these top guys to come here, okay, it is what it is. But we want to win.
It comes down to, do you want to have a good college football program, or do
it's really that simple?
That's all.
You're going to spend it and figure out a way to make it in the back end and figure it out over time. You want to be good. You want to compete now. You want to look up in 5 years and say, okay, we can get into the playoff, or you still want to be doing this? Because whatever this is right now for Florida
it ain't
is,
it. And the
You're the little dog in the state right now, and that's tough for them to
Hmm.
swallow. It's tough for them to have to sit there and look at because the product that they're putting on the field, it's you don't want to kick people when they're down, right? But you have to call a spade and call it what it is. That this team, this
Right.
program, there ain't nothing special
No,
about it. You let US come in and walk over you, and then turn around another in-state rival,
Mhm.
smacked 7 points, not even competitive.
And hey, and
yeah,
Johnny, it all comes down to those that actually have the money to be able to pull this off. This investment is long term anyway.
yeah,
It's not about right now. Are you willing to invest the money to see your program turn around? It's not going to be an overnight. It's not going to be an overnight success. It takes long term because the people that have this kind of money are all about business. They understand how business works. You pour the money in now, and you wait until things gradually improve year after year. Especially if you get a coach like Urban Meyer back, things are going to turn around pretty fast.
yeah. The question is, does Urban at his age, he's been away from the game for a while. He has a nice cush job at Fox. He gets to talk about football a couple of times a week, maybe go interview a coach here and there, and he doesn't have to.
What about Jimbo Fisher?
Okay, yeah, now that's it. Hey, Jimbo say, hey, I got a pocket full of money. I get,
I could use the other pocket
yeah,
full
yeah.
too.
Exactly. Hey, my left pocket full ain't got nothing in the right. Let me get this right one full. You know what? Now that you mentioned that, I like that. I
Mm.
like that.
Hold on. I
He's
got
not coaching anywhere, knows the state of Florida really
Yeah, he was.
well.
Hey, he was the head coach at Florida State.
hold on. I got one. I
Ooh,
got one. Listen, I'm just throwing this out there. Just possibility since we throwing names in the hat. What about another Floridian that knows Florida very well in prime? Coming on back down to Gainesville. Obviously, I know it's not Tallahassee, but
yeah,
hey, I'm just saying.
yeah. Since we put names in the hat,
Yeah, that's
that's
all.
not a
That's
bad
all.
option.
Yeah.
That would make some numbers. That would move the needle. Prime being in the SEC and in Florida, that would be
Woo-hoo. Absolutely.
yeah.
He definitely.
Colorado could be holding on for dear life to try and keep him. But it all comes down to the brass and who's running the show at Florida and what they want to go
Mm.
after. But this hire and what they've done with this staff, this is definitely not working. I think the original question to sum up the whole thing is, this Florida team and this Florida program is not competitive in the SEC
No,
whatsoever, and that's just not acceptable for a program of
Right.
that
no,
caliber.
and the SEC is getting better. It just is. The days of, I mean, you got Oklahoma came there, Texas came in there, uh, 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 Georgia is good. Hell, look at Vanderbilt.
Mm.
Vanderbilt is hell, he's looking good. Vanderbilt might put foots in Florida this year, so they're gonna have to do something. And guess what? In 2 weeks, Miami and Florida State, the Canes are off next week, while the Noles will have to beat Virginia. If that happens, we'll get a top 10 Canes and Noles.
Hey, that game, hey Johnny, that game now, the way Florida State playing this year, the way the Miami Hurricane playing this year, it brings that old excitement of the early 2000s when they would meet up. It
Yeah,
brings that same excitement. Defensively, offensively, both of them playing very, very well. Hell, goddamn Florida State put up 66 today. Now I understand who they were playing. It's nothing to hoop and holler about, but I understand who they were playing. But obviously, the first two opponents, man, they did a number on them as well.
they did. They put foots in Alabama.
Yeah.
Listen, their offense is
Oh
Yep.
rolling.
man.
You look at it every week. Look, from here on out, I'm putting some money on Florida State every week, over on points, over on whatever
Yeah.
you want to do. But they look good. You're supposed to go out and do that versus teams that are,
Inferior.
inferior.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, inferior for sure. You're supposed to. But the fact that you can go out and do it, your offense is clicking, you're rolling, you're not having any three and outs, any lapse in judgment, that type
Right.
of stuff. When you see that week in and week out, you're like, okay, these guys are dialed, these guys are
Mhm.
clicking. So when you do get to a matchup like that, it's going to be one for fireworks. The bad news for Florida as well, just to add on a little bit of salt on their whole grave, um, play Texas,
Oof.
then they play my Aggies. Mississippi State, okay. Then they got Georgia, Kentucky, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Florida State, and that will be the season for the Florida Gators. So I don't know if you hear about that list, those teams, what their schedule looks like, but it's really, really looking like
Yeah,
maybe a 3 or 4 win team for Florida this year,
I
to be
definitely don't
honest.
see how Billy Napier survives that.
Mhm.
I don't.
I
Flo-
I don't see how they, I mean, if by some miracle they won six
that's not
games,
enough.
it's still not
I
enough.
It's
mean,
not enough.
based on the standard in which Florida holds themselves, including alumni, the academic, I'm talking about academic, the sports program in general, he's not gonna be able to survive, huh? He not.
No.
Matter of fact, the Dolphins in Florida are in the same boat.
For sure.
The Dolphins and the Gators is basically in the same boat. I think FAMU could beat Florida right now.
I think the biggest thing is, Ocho and Johnny, when you look at it, you're in the SEC. Unless you're Kentucky, you're a football school. It's really that simple.
Yeah.
You in football school, and you want to compete. Because the one thing that Florida doesn't want to become is what Vanderbilt used to be, and some occasionally they still are, everybody's homecoming. You open the season, and you see, and they got a homecoming queen. That ain't good.
Fresh meat.
You know what I'm saying? The first game of the season, you somebody's homecoming. Bro, they're like, damn. But if you go back, if you look at Florida, they don't have, Florida used to have 2 or 3 guys going in the first round. They don't get, but I don't, maybe when you spread it out, Jeremiah Smith is going to Ohio State, and a lot of these guys from the state of Florida, they go other places, or they don't go to Florida. They go to Florida State, or they go to Miami, or they go to Alabama. They go to Ohio State. They go to Georgia.
Oregon.
They go to
Oregon.
They go every place except Gainesville.
Yeah.
And you've got to keep a few. I ain't saying you're not going to get them all, because even when Florida was at its best, they didn't get them all. But you got to get some, and they're not getting nearly enough of the good ones.
Yeah.
In order to make a difference in the program, or enough of that guys that's in the portal. But something's got to change. And normally you can't get rid of all the football players. The first thing you change is the coaching staff. And I don't advocate anybody losing their job, but I just don't see how Billy Napier keeps this job, Johnny.
Yeah, no, it's not the fit. Like, you have to have some semblance that things moving forward are going to be okay, that we're going to get this ship righted. They have given him some time, and this, even last year, going back, like, it hasn't been great. So at some point in time, these decisions behind the scenes are probably they're being talked about. They're being, they know it's a Band-Aid. They don't want to rip off, but at the end of the day, sometimes waiting longer just makes it worse.